Picture this. You're at a wedding, you're holding up your glass, and someone calls out, "Cheers." Suddenly the room fills with the sound of clinking glasses. That's a scene that we're all familiar with, right? It's almost automatic, built into us. But the story behind that tiny sound and that tiny gesture is thousands of years old. It's a story filled with trust, superstition, and even a little bit of danger. So let's start way back at the beginning. In ancient Greece, drinking wasn't just drinking, it was a ritual. The gathering was part party, part philosophy club, where people debated life over cups of wine. But before that first sip, they raised a glass to the gods. Now the Romans, they had their own twist on this. They'd take a burnt piece of toast, drop it into the wine to actually improve the flavor. That's where the word toast comes from. Imagine that, ancient Romans, toast in the wine, that's where the word toast comes from. So over time, that word shifted from meaning soggy bread to dedicating your drink to someone's health or honor. Now, the Greeks, the Romans, let's jump ahead to medieval Europe. The poison fear at the time was real, and this is where another legend steps in. One story says that people would slam their cups together so hard that the drinks would spill into each other's cup. That way, if someone had poisoned the wine, both cups would be tainted and both drinkers would be at risk. So this was a way of having trust. Slam the cup together. If you spill a little bit, everybody's at risk. Historians debate whether or not this actually happened, but like many old tales, it stuck. And over time, that clinking came to symbolize the trust built between two friends. But it's not just about trust, it's also about sound. Of course, drinking uses sight, smell, taste, and touch, and that clinking added another sense, hearing. Some say this made drinking a five senses experience, and others believe the sound itself could ward off evil spirits, kind of like ringing in a little bell of protection before you drank. As history wore on and as these tales made their way to different cultures, each culture developed their own version of their own toast. Of course, in Spain we have salud, Germany we have prost, Ireland we have slancha, in Japan we have kanpai, which literally translates to dry the cup, ganbei in China, which means also dry the glass. Many different cultures, many different words, same intention. Good health, unity, good fortune, cheers. So, why do we say cheers? Originally, the word meant face or expression. By the 14th century, that same word came to mean good mood. And by the 1700s, it had become the word you said when raising a glass in goodwill.
Here's looking at you, kid.
And that's the cheers that we know, love, and use so often today. Now, like any good cultural tradition, along with the word comes rules. In Germany, you have to make eye contact when you clink, or you risk 7 years of bad luck. In Slavic countries, don't cross your arms when toasting, because you'll probably drop your glass, and it's unlucky. Sailors, they never toast with water, because they believe that it dishonors those who they lost at sea. And here in America, of course, if you cheers and you don't drink, that's also a faux pas and a harbinger of potential bad luck. Throughout history, we've experienced some very colorful toasts. Allegedly, the Vikings would pour mead onto the ground for Odin before drinking. There's a romantic tale that Napoleon's soldiers clinked glasses before charging into battle, though historians aren't 100% sure if that's actually true. And of course, the legendary Winston Churchill, he toasted with champagne, famously saying, "In victory, we deserve it, and in defeat, we need it." So the next time you raise your glass and say cheers, remember, you're not just making a sound with glassware, you're carrying on a ritual that spans centuries. From ancient gods, medieval warriors, poets, knights, everyday people, you're echoing that moment of trust, joy, togetherness, camaraderie throughout generations, both in the past and in the future. So that little clink says, live well, drink fresh. Cheers, guys.